Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Macadopoulos. Boys and girls, the news cycle is so explosive.
I'm gonna blow your mind right in front of your face. Goodbye. Oh no!
That's right, all over your face. We are officially into midterm madness. And of course, this is a midterm madness meltdown for the deep state. And President Trump is sending them a message too, saying,
honey, you've got a big storm coming.
That's right, oddly confident lady. How many posts we got today?
You could stop at 5 or 6.
Okay, well, I'm going to just stop at 6 because there's 6. But we'll start with the first one, 2461, 23 minutes after the hour of 4 p.m. We get this Daily Beast article. And of course, you can't have Daily Beast without B and S. So eat that, Will Sommer. This is by Will Sommer, who I prefer to call Shill Sommer. I like Shill Sommer about as much as I like Ben Collins. I like Ben Collins about as much as I like Brussels sprouts. And I like Brussels sprouts about as much as I like slamming my finger into the door jamb of a Cutlass Sierra. So let's go ahead and read this. QAnon reference by man arrested for threatening to kill Trump. Jeffrey Boyd told a Pennsylvania woman he had come from Oklahoma with a gun because of CIA mind control and other Q-related clues. Police said he threatened the first family. A man charged with allegedly making threats against Donald Trump and the Trump family made several references to the QAnon conspiracy theory before his arrest, according to Twitter messages obtained by the Daily Beast. Pennsylvania State Police arrested Jeffrey Gardner Boyd, 55, on July 31st in Berwick, after finding a loaded handgun and ammunition in Boyd's truck. Boyd is charged with 4 counts of making terroristic threats to kill Trump, daughter Ivanka Trump, son Donald Trump Jr., and son-in-law Jared Kushner. Boyd, who pleaded not guilty at his arraignment, is being held on $1 million bail. His attorney did not respond to requests for comment. Okay, so this was a really, really weird story, and this happened back in July. And Q was talking about this. This guy showed up to meet this girl, Kate. Boyd had initially driven from his home in Tulsa, Oklahoma to Pennsylvania, according to a police report, because he had become convinced that a Pennsylvania woman who posts about QAnon on Twitter was being held hostage by shadowy forces. Boyd allegedly told the woman that he planned to go to Washington, D.C. to shoot Trump or other members of the Trump family, claiming that he was being mind controlled by the CIA. The woman, who asked to be identified only by her first name, Kate, told the Daily Beast that she warned the man not to try to ram his truck into a gate at the White House. He told me I would never know if he did, Kate told the Daily Beast. Boyd's arrest appears to mark the latest appearance of the QAnon conspiracy theory with a dangerous real-life incident. Okay, let me stop you right here. There's a reason I go after these two guys, Shill Sommer and that wuss Ben Collins. It's because they're constantly lying about the same things, and they use the same sad lack of facts, and they rehash it and do another piece. Will Sommer has written this piece 4 times. It's the same stupid piece. He just rearranges it and calls it new. In June, an armed QAnon believer used a homemade armored truck to block traffic on a bridge near the Hoover Dam. Will, not true. This man was crying out, "Declassify us." Somehow, they were able to get his footage from inside the truck. He didn't mention anything about QAnon. It wasn't until about a day or two later that they were kind of connecting it, showing some screenshots of him saying, referring, something about Q or whatever. We don't necessarily know that, but again, it's another conflation by Shill Sommer. The growing conspiracy theory, which is based on a series of cryptic clues posted on online forums, portrays a world in which Trump is engaged in battle against the CIA, top Democrats, and Hollywood elites, pedophiles, and the deep state. No, it actually shows a whole lot of facts, Shill Sommer. You're the one that's trying to portray a world. So you see what's up here. This was a weird story. This guy Boyd, he drove out to meet this girl, Kate. And we saw this kind of play out in July on the boards. And this Kate was pretending to sort of be the hero of the day, and she was the one that warned and thwarted the attack. And then she was on her way to the rally, and she just wanted to get a hug from Trump. Now, if you're kind of new to QAnon, you might be new to the story. Go back to July, and you can see these posts. And you'll see this girl's picture. Here she is right here. And this chick ended up to be about as nuts as the previous guy, and she didn't get her hug. She ended up getting, Q called her a VIP, but she got shuffled off, and who knows whatever happened to her. We don't really know. And of course, we have that weird story about Peter Strzok and the Coke bottle, and the Coke bottle was had the name Kate on it, right? So this is a crazy, crazy story. She met this guy, Boyd, and he was talking about going to kill the first family. And she's like, no, don't do it. But hey, first, let's hit up Denny's so we can get a moons over my hammy. She had dinner with the guy, right? So this is really, really weird. And then she turned out, she was, had all this QAnon stuff on her Twitter and her Facebook and all that. And this woman, Kate, ended up becoming kind of this mysterious person that we've since not heard from, just like the guy on the bridge that we've since heard nothing from. So it's another hit piece by Shill Sommer, and of course Ben Collins is out writing hit pieces now too. They kind of go back and forth. They both write for the Daily Beast, Huffington Post. Ben Collins gets on NBC and shoots his mouth off every once in a while. So let me just clear this up for you. Shill Sommer is a shill. Ben Collins is a shill and a wuss. So in summary, Will Sommer, Shill Sommer. Ben Collins, shill and a wuss. Well, Q says, why are we under heavy fire? Why are we so important to the fake news media? Attacks coordinated? Yeah, of course. We know that Will and Ben have to basically get together to have a super duo. They're like the dynamic Wonder Twins, right? They got to get together because they can't write pieces on their own. Well, it's important because this brings down fake news media. And the closer we get to finding out what and who Q is, and a lot of you have your own suspicions, right? But more importantly, as this starts to get exposed into the mainstream narrative, this is going to kill the fake news media because you're going to contrast the truth against what the fake news media has been giving you all this time. And that's why they're attacking, coordinated like this. The swamp is everywhere and we're seeing it. There's a reason some could no longer be trusted. Now, I suppose you could refer this to, there's some people who think that this is a reference to Jeff Sessions. I'm not so sure. Sebastian Gorka came out just the other day saying this here: you missed the whole point of a disinformation campaign. The point is they reel you in with the pro-real Donald Trump appearance and then feed you garbage to discredit the whole movement. That's who Q is. And this really isn't anything new to me from Sebastian Gorka. I still like his news. He's been a Q hater from the beginning, and it doesn't really, I view these guys as a very low threat. He doesn't exactly go spread a ton of disinformation. He's just not into Q. Now, who knows what his motive is, but I don't really worry much about guys like Sebastian Gorka because it doesn't seem like he's spreading that much disinformation. Could be, but he doesn't seem to be very effective. If he is, he hasn't really gone out trying to purposely debunk Q. He just denies Q, and maybe that's for good reason. Who knows? I don't worry much about it. I don't worry much about Posobiec either, even though he claimed that he was going to go out and debunk Q and whatnot. Look, the guy's a knucklehead. And who knows what their reasons are, but it seems like we've got less and less people to trust, and I think that's what Q is saying here. The swamp's everywhere. There's a reason some could no longer be trusted. So whether or not it actually is Sessions or not, like I said, I'm not so inclined to think it was Sessions that Q's talking about. I think it could be a reference into some of these fake MAGA news reporters. And of course, Fox has always been, pretty borderline, although I think there's some pretty good people over there. By and large, I don't really trust much of anybody, and that's why I've got my own channel myself, just trying to pick up where I think they left off. You are witnessing the systematic destruction of the old guard. Forced exposure. Standard deviation broken long ago. And then Q says P-A-I-N, pain. And we've heard pain before. Is that in reference to the Punisher? And is our Punisher, is that going to be Huber? Is that going to be Horowitz? Is that going to be Whitaker? Not really sure. Is it in reference to the Punisher comic? Not really sure. Now, at first glance, I thought about Pennsylvania and Indiana, which we had some big races in here in the midterms. Not really sure if that's a reference to that either. But it seemed like there was a reason why Q spelled it out for us. So you can let me know what you think down below. But it looks like pain is coming. It looks like it very well could be in the form of Whitaker, who has dropped the hammer on these quote-unquote immigrants coming across the border offering no asylum. And of course everybody's freaking out over Whitaker now, all of a sudden trying to trash this guy and kind of discredit his whole background. Let's move on to the next post. 2462, 32 minutes after the hour 6. Logical thinking required. How can arrests occur prior to removing the corruption from the DOJ and FBI? Okay, well, we're well familiar with this, and if you've not been following QAnon for a while, go back to some of my older videos. We've talked at great length about the corruption within the DOJ and FBI, and of course Q has reminded us at great length too, to make sure that we really truly understand how deep this corruption is. How can arrests occur prior to safely securing a majority in the Supreme Court? Well, I suppose it can't. And I think we all kind of understand that now. That is why Kavanaugh was so huge. That was why they railed against Kavanaugh so much, because they knew that the whole point was getting seats on the Supreme Court. And now we have this story from the other day where Ruth Bader Ginsburg fell and she's hurt her ribs. She says she's okay. We don't really know. We're not really sure if that's a cover story or not, but we suspect that she could be on her last legs. The poor thing is barely breathing, bless her heart. Constitution, rule of law. Yeah. As ugly as this gets, we still want to be able to abide by that. We want to make sure that we check our all our boxes before we go moving. C, what is the role of the Senate? Well, the Senate deals with a lot of things, but in particular, they deal with appointing Supreme Court justices, appellate court justices. They want judges, right? That was why it was so important to win the Senate. Role of Goodlatte? Well, he was the chairman of the House Judiciary, right? Role of Gowdy, he was the chairman of the oversight of the House. So these guys were very important. They were the ones gathering all the information in regards to Uranium One, the Clinton emails, all this stuff, Clinton Foundation, all of that was Goodlatte and Gowdy, and they were trying to task Sessions to look into it. Role of Sessions, well, he was the one that was firing everybody from the DOJ and FBI. He had to sign off on all of that. So meanwhile, while everyone's saying that Sessions is doing nothing at all, he was part of draining the swamp, right? And then we get Goodlatte, Gowdy, and Sessions all resign. Yeah, House to Senate, House to Senate, House to Senate. Now all this stuff, it lies in Chuck, your ass is Grassley's hand, right? Q says it again. Goodlatte, Gowdy, and Sessions all resign. Who did Sessions appoint in November 2017? Well, that was U.S. Attorney John Huber. And here's the article talking about it. Let me just point this out. In a letter directed to Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte, and the House Oversight Committee Chairman Trey Gowdy, Sessions revealed that he asked U.S. Attorney John Huber to lead the evaluation into issues raised by the committees in recent months. Okay, so John Huber was tasked into looking after everything that Goodlatte and Gowdy were talking about, right? Well, who is Huber? He's a U.S. attorney from Utah who reconfirmed Huber. Well, that was Sessions. Who originally appointed Huber? Well, that was one Barack Hussein Obama, as well as Horowitz, right? Importance of partisan optics? Yeah, it's very important. When this all comes down, Whitaker drops the hammer, and we start to see Huber and Horowitz come out, into the light, talking about everything that they found. You can't be talking about partisan politics, which is why Sessions needed to go. And that's precisely why President Trump has made it very clear that he doesn't really know this Whitaker guy. And I think it's also very clear that Huber and Horowitz can be turned around and say, hey, look, this was an Obama guy. This was your guy. Mandate charge to Huber, like I just said, looking into everything that Goodlatte and Gowdy had presented. Resources provided to Huber? Well, IG Horowitz has a team of over 470 investigators, tons of them. Who is Horowitz? He's the Inspector General. Mandate charge to Horowitz to look into all that stuff that Goodlatte and Gowdy are talking about. He teams up with Huber, and Huber decides whether or not to prosecute. Well, who was Sessions' chief of staff? That was Whitaker. What were the responsibilities of Whitaker? Gathering information, gathering intel. What is the role of a chief of staff? Well, chief of staff meaning that he's in charge of the staff, Jeff Sessions' staff. So anything that was coming up to Jeff Sessions likely would have gone through Whitaker. He was also the one that sort of decided and determined that Trump's finances was sort of out of the spectrum when it came to the role of the special counsel looking into Trump-Russia collusion. They were not really able to look into his finances. He was the one that sort of helped determine that. So Whitaker knows a lot about what's up. Shadow players are the deadliest. Stealth. Yeah, all these players like Huber, Horowitz, Whitaker, Watnick, all these guys have been operating under the radar. Meanwhile, everybody that is out in front on Front Street is getting banged up over the media, right? What is the advantage of having a temp acting in a leadership position? Well, I suppose just to serve their own little purpose, right? Now, it takes you to this BBC article. Anthony Scaramucci fired from the White House after 10 days. Wall Street financier Anthony Scaramucci lasted only 10 days as White House communications director. A brief time, but enough to prove controversial. And this is why it actually says it here in the first line, but Q covers it right here. The appointment itself on the 21st of July triggered a shakeup at the Trump White House. Chief of Staff Reince Priebus and spokesman Sean Spicer both left their posts over his hiring. Right, so it was a way of getting a couple other guys out, addition by subtraction, right? And then by that time, Scaramucci had to go. And keep in mind, Scaramucci's good friends with Donald Trump Jr. and came well recommended by Ivanka and Jared Kushner. So he's definitely a Trump guy, even though they definitely clowned him in the media. But that was all he was really needed for. And then he left, right? Laser designator locked on targets. Who was assigned directly to Sessions by POTUS? Well, that was Ezra Cohen Watnick. Mandate charge to Ezra Cohen Watnick, Defense Intelligence Agency. Well, he's the one that's been giving all these people their information. This guy's, I think we've got one picture of him, and that's about it. Meanwhile, this guy's gathering the goods on everybody. National Security Advisor to Sessions. Well, that's exactly what the mandate is. He's the National Security Advisor. So Ezra Cohen Watnick knows exactly what's up. Counterintelligence and counterterrorism, precisely. Who briefed Nunes on classified intel regarding Hussein's spy campaign versus POTUS? Well, once again, that was our boy Ezra Cohen Watnick, and this goes back to this Business Insider article, and we've talked about this article before, but this is essentially what's up, and this is exactly why H.R. McMaster wanted this guy gone, and they kind of got rid of him, and then Trump brought him right back, and of course that was at the urging of this guy right here, Jared Kushner, and of course Steve Bannon. Who briefed Good Latin Gowdy on classified intel regarding DOJ and FBI? I'm gonna assume the same guy. This is Christopher Walken.
I gotta have more cowbell.
Q says the world is watching. The world is witnessing the true identity of the Democratic Party. War. Q. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there's no point in asking anymore why you're getting shadow banned. There's no point in asking why the MSM won't tell the truth. We ought to know this by now. We are in full-scale war. This is a culture war. Nobody's going to give us the truth. Nobody is going to give us any quarter, and we're not going to give it back either. The rules have changed. We are officially gloves off, and we are at war. Let's move on to the next post. Post 2463, 50 minutes after the hour of 6. We get this graphic. This was from some days ago on the 2nd from Zacatac on Twitter. On the right, you see sort of this projected, this was projected voting for the midterms. And this was, of course, this was from a post that was before midterms, but look at all that red, and you can see just these little splotches of blue here. Over here on the left, estimated percentage of undocumented immigrants. Wow, same splotches of blue. How about that? Well, this graphic down here says this is just a small list of things requiring ID but not considered racist. And of course you need an ID for all these things, but evidently not to vote. How stupid is that? Q says, will recent expected voter fraud actions by the Democratic Party provide support for a voter ID law? Yeah, I think it will, and I think the Q team's letting this sort of play out, and it's playing out exactly like the way we should want to play out. We've got a couple different situations, one in Arizona with Martha McSally and Kristen Sinema, and where they've got these votes that they haven't yet counted yet. They were able to count millions of votes, but they haven't been able to count these last votes. And then, of course, we've got this major situation out in Broward County. And, of course, that's the neck of the woods of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And this Brenda Snipes, who is refusing to submit to this court order. And she's holding on to these votes. She basically got dumped a whole bunch of votes and then pumped a whole bunch more votes in. And of course, those were blue votes. No big deal, right? No big deal. And she's refusing to turn anything over. And she's clearly in violation of the law. And it looks like letting this play out is really just exposing all their cheating. And this is going to take us back to the 2016 elections and who knows how much further back. But it looks like the Q team was expecting this. And this is great, actually, if you think about it. It's playing out just the way we would like it. Because if you think about it, if you've seen all the video over the last day or two, you've got protesters from both sides of the aisle that are hanging out watching all these trucks take care of these boxes and boxes of ballots, right? What's going on? Why is that happening like that? It's not the way it's supposed to go, right? Well, what ends up happening is that the Democrats, who, believe it or not, think that the right is cheating, they're going to be demanding for voter ID law too. Well, guess what? That's going to take away all this demographic, and it's going to allow that red wave that we thought was going to be this massive red wave to turn into a red tsunami, because they're going to get rid of tons and tons of their voters. So go ahead, Dems, go ahead and talk about that voter ID, but basically what they're doing is a boomerang suicide. They are going to call for some sort of fair balloting, and that's going to lead us to voter ID, which is what we want in the first place, because we know if that's what happens, it's going to equal a big, massive, real red wave like the one that we were expecting, and of course, subsequently, the death of the Democrat Party, and that itself would be a boomerang suicide. Let's hear what President Trump had to say about that.
Well, I don't know. You tell me. It's always the Democrats. It's always GPS fusion. It's always crooked stuff. Look at what happened. How many FBI are gone? How many Justice Department people are gone? That I found out. There's a lot of bad stuff going on in this country, and we're finding out, and I'm getting to the bottom of it, and I've done a hell of a job. How many people have been fired from the FBI? You got Comey, you got McCabe, you got Strzok, you have Lisa Page, you have Baker, you have a whole list of people. There's a lot of crooked stuff going on, but it is interesting. It always seems to go the way of the Democrats. Now in Arizona, all of a sudden, out of the wilderness, they find a lot of votes, and the other candidate is just winning by a hair. What's going on in Florida is a disgrace. Go down and see what happened over the last period of time, 10 years. Take a look at Broward County. Take a look at the total dishonesty of what happened with respect to Broward County. Broward County, just press Broward County /election. There's a lot of dishonesty.
Well, there you go. The gloves are off for the president, too. He's talking very, very tough with the press, as I'm sure you saw by the White House Lawn interview. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I want to take you over to this thread because I thought it was interesting. President Trump actually covered a couple of the topics that we were just talking about here with the Q post, both with the cleaning out of the DOJ and the FBI. He mentioned that first, and then talking about Broward County. And then, of course, we also have this shooting here. And I want to take you to this thread here because this guy did a great job. This is Where We Go One, We Go All at Find Truth Q on Twitter. And we're just going to cruise through this thread here. I'm going to do a combine thread with the Cali shooting and what's going on in Florida, aka Broward County. Is getting crazy, and you all need to see what is happening. Number one, yesterday there was a shooting at a bar in Cali that just so happened to be called Borderline. We heard initial reports the man was Middle Eastern looking with a full beard, and that story quickly changed to an ex-Marine who appeared clean cut. Picture on the left is an old photo. Picture on the right was from his recent social media account, and here it is right here. David Ian Long, aka Abu Al-Hom, 29-year-old Los Angeles resident. This is what the media is covering up. So there's his camp graduation photo and his more recent photo where he's looking even more charming. Alleged eyewitness described shooter as a man on the right. I believe he was a Muslim convert. Slide 4 shows another interview saying the exact same thing. And here's from that interview right there. I'm not going to play it for you. We're going to cruise through this. Number 4, more proof. Middle Eastern male. And then the story changed, and this guy's social media was scrubbed immediately afterwards. So you can see that Fox News here was reporting as a Middle Eastern male too. It wasn't an abnormal thing for people to be saying that, but people were trying to make it into this big racist situation. Next thing you know, all his information is scrubbed like usual. And then this is from the inside of the bar. Where are all the people? Where is all the cell phone footage from the people inside the bar? You mean to tell me a bar literally full of college-age kids that got shot up and there isn't a single cell phone video at all? You're telling me that the bar didn't have, and here's the video right here, and you can just kind of see, it's, let me play a little bit of it here. Empty bar, nobody left their cell, everybody remembered their cell phones and purses, I guess. Yeah, go figure. Any security cameras? You're telling me that there isn't a single innocent bystander outside of the bar that recorded a single minute of footage? Seriously? You expect us to believe that? How about all the crisis actors? Let's see a few videos. The sheriff is literally laughing as he says one of his officer just died. And let me go ahead and play part of this for you here.
The sergeant passed away at the hospital about an hour ago. I only mention might be terrorist because that's where we all go these days when we have multiple shootings like this. There's no reason for it, and we have this horrific death. I have nothing to lead me to believe, or the FBI, that there is any terrorism link here, but we certainly will look at that option.
Oh, yeah, there he goes. That's with a little laugh right there. And then how about this Academy Award winner?
He didn't come home last night, and I don't want prayers. I don't want thoughts. I want gun control, and I hope to God nobody else sends me any more prayers. I want gun control. No more guns.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's funny. I feel like I've seen you before. Maybe it was at the Las Vegas shooting. You had longer hair when you were talking. And this guy with his blue latex gloves on, who just happened to be in Vegas at the mass shooting there. He seems really phased for surviving multiple mass shootings in a 13-month period. Or how about this guy? They interviewed him twice, trying to make him look as if it's a different person. One interview, pathetic acting here too, with his skull cap on, and another with it off. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a professional actor, and this is absolutely pathetic. This performance is pathetic. This performance is pathetic. And this one so far is probably the worst one here. Here's a little bit of it.
Just a young man, and he shot the cashier.
Oh, all right. Looks like Anton LaVey right there. And then we've got this girl here. I mean, I don't care if you aren't a conspiracy theorist. This is undeniable. People who just witnessed a man slaughtering and who almost just got executed themselves don't act like this. And she's trying to force her crocodile tears right there. We got a couple more right here. Then he goes on to say, and these three girls, the one on the right looks like she's 10 years old. I'm looking for another interview I saw with the blonde and just her father. And the father says, my daughter is only 19. And she goes, no, I'm not, Dad. Oh, that's right, because she needed to get into the bar. You know, the bar where 12 people died. All right. And then how about this? Here's an article about an active shooter drill that took place at this exact location last September. What are the odds? Next slide, number 17 is a first-hand account of the actual drills. Number 17. Oh, and don't forget, there just happened to be 6 off-duty cops in the bar when all this happened. 6 off-duty cops just happened to be hanging out at a college bar on a random Wednesday night that got shot up, eh? Well, you can see what's going on here. I found the interview with the girl and her father. Listen to this. They can't even keep their story straight. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so he goes on to say, I had said this would be a joint thread because they are both tied together. They want us distracted from what's happening in Florida, Arizona, and Georgia. Arizona race has already been flipped, and Florida is not far behind, and that's exactly what they want to do. They want to get our eyes over here so that we won't pay attention to all the tomfoolery over there. This is taking place right now. There are over 10 trucks, not 3, full of what? Miscellaneous ballots. That's all just happened to be Democratic votes. What's home to Broward County? Well, look at those trucks right there, full of ballots. Well, Broward County is home of, like I said, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the Parkland shooting, the corrupt Sheriff Scott Israel, the male hoax bomber. The son of the rabbi in Pittsburgh is also a rabbi in Broward County that a man was arrested for plotting to shoot the synagogue up. Voter fraud. And here's a tweet from Brendan Dilley. I don't care if there are 47 active shooters and the world is on fire. You aren't going to make me forget that Democrats and fake news are trying to steal elections in Arizona, Florida, and Georgia. Media is already trying to prepare the public for the flip. And then you can read what he posts there afterwards. Who is behind all these mysterious ballots that just happen to be showing up 3+ days after the election results should have been final? That's right, Brenda Snipes. And of course, we talked about her already. Okay, so you see what's up. This is a really good thread, and I will leave it for you down below, and I will probably attach this to my Twitter too. But a lot of really terrible connections here. And of course, we see exactly what's going on. We are not going to be fooled. We are not going to be swayed. We know exactly what's happening, and we are going to pay attention to these elections because these are our elections. Let's move on to the next post. 2464 takes you to this link right here, and we are on Bing.com, and this shows you a whole bunch of results that you get when you search for QAnon in their search window here, and most of it are just hit pieces, you know, from guys like Shill Sommer and Ben Collins, the wuss. Now, some of them are not necessarily that way. They're a little bit vague. We talked about this Washington Post article the other day. Art can help distinguish between conspiracy and reality. And there's some pieces about this Robert Bowers, this suspect in the synagogue slayings, and everything's trying to connect it to QAnon. And essentially what they're doing is just manipulating the searches. This is one of them right here. We hunted the mammoth. I have seen the future of QAnon memeing, and his name is BD1367. No, it is not. Trust your fellow man. No, this is just a mess. Pain is coming. We got Ivanka. What's Ivanka gonna do? Seriously, there's Ivanka with a katana there. What's going on here? What is that? Melania and the sword of the spirit? I don't know. These are terrible memes. I'm not really sure what's up here. But you see what's going on, a bunch of disinformation. Of course, what's so interesting is that the media is going so hard after QAnon when all they really have to do is ask the president. Well, they won't do that, will they? They most certainly will not. So, more hit pieces, and I imagine it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, as it always has. Let's go ahead and move on to 2465. 23 minutes after the hour of 8. Future comms. And then we've seen this post before. Pre_stage ELE_Y. You see pre-stage SEC_Y, pre-stage DIR_Y, pre-stage cap_Y, and then we have unready in brackets. Now, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I did notice that this was the first post over here on this post-only Patriots fight board. Remember, this is the new board here, and so we've only seen these next 2 posts come from here. Now, I want to turn your attention to this Patriots fight board because it's important that you have this link, and it's down in the description below. Q gave us this back in September 12th, post 2168. Main points of interest only. It will serve as the main hub of all communications once all other sites tracking collapse. 8chan only. What part of another wave of attacks coming yesterday wasn't understood? This is not a game. Well, at the time on September 11th, there was another wave of attacks that we got. And Q has let us know that 8chan was being really worked on very hard. And of course, they're still trying to get at 8chan. They're trying to get at my channel. They're trying to get at all channels. And a lot of these channels are probably going to go down until we get to the point where we only have this post only board, and this is the board. So get this link, save this link, share this link, make sure that everybody has it, because when everything goes down, you don't want to be asking a bunch of questions, what's going on, when we already gave you the answers. We know this is coming. This is likely to come. Q saying it right here. It will serve as the main hub of all communications once all other sites tracking collapse. 8chan only. That means the board I'm reading off of this right now is likely to collapse. Now, I don't know if my YouTube channel will go down. I have no idea if my other channels will go down. I really don't know. But rather than panicking, just know that, and know that this might be good to go ahead and reference. And this might be signifying a new stage, considering this is the first time that Q has now posted on this board. And here's the last time we saw these comms, back on May 4th, and this is when Q set up the first Patriots fight board. So I'm assuming that these comms here maybe aren't for us to decide. I have a feeling they have to do with setting up the board. You can let me know what you think. We were kind of in the same position, but it was the same kind of comms here. And incidentally, this cannon is referring to the Gonzales cannon, the Battle of Gonzales in Texas during the Texas Revolution, when Mexican forces were kind of ordered to seize this cannon that this city owned, and they said, come and take it. So this is when we set up Patriots Fight, so I have a feeling we are going to be looking at this board from here on out. Now, I wanted to point out, you don't see the picture here, but over on the Patriots Fight board, you see the picture of the gavel here, and it is entitled Justice. And the previous one back in May was also titled Justice, although it was a picture of a cannon. So could we be seeing some judicial justice as well as some military justice. We also get this next post on Patriots Fight, but I'm going to read it over here. 2466, 48 minutes after the hour of 8, and it's another repost. We've been getting a lot of reposts lately. This is from back in February. Definition of a patriot: a person who loves, supports, and defends his or her country and its interests with devotion. Number 2, a person who regards him or herself as a defender, especially of individual rights, against presumed interference by the federal government. Then we have the definition of a traitor: a person who betrays another, a cause, or any trust. Number 2, a person who commits treason by betraying his or her country. And then we've got Old Glory over here. Now, we've seen this picture before of this flag too, and I wanted to point out that a while back, Q was talking about this app that could take pictures like this and find little hidden messages in them. Now, I'm not saying there's a hidden message in this one, but I will say every time I see this picture, I see little splotchy dots kind of sprinkled through it, and I've always wondered if there was. Now, I couldn't get that app to work. If you know which app that there's a few of them, but if anyone's got that app and wants to run this through and sees anything on this, I'd be really curious to see if anything pops out. But we've used this picture before. But either way, it looks like we are sifting between patriots and traitors. Well, I know what side I'm on. What side are you on, patriots? Those are your Q posts. Now we got President Trump on his way to France celebrating the commemoration of Armistice Day, where he will be celebrating out there with Macron and Merkel and all our favorite deep state knuckleheads, and he may just have a choice meeting with Putin out there. He's kind of talking it down, but it's very possible they could run into each other. So I will be covering that very closely, as close as I can. That's all the Q I got for you, but let me turn you on to what President Trump said, taking the gloves off in regards to Michelle and Barack Hussein Obama.
Oh, Michelle Obama said that. I haven't seen it. I guess she wrote a book. She got paid a lot of money to write a book. And they always insist that you come up with controversial. Well, I'll give you a little controversy back. I'll never forgive him for what he did to our United States military. By not funding it properly, it was depleted. Everything was old and tired. And I came in and I had to fix it. And I'm in the process of spending tremendous amounts of money. So I'll never forgive him for what he did to our military. I'll never forgive him for what he did in many other ways, which I'll talk to you about in the future. What he did, because she talked about safety. What he did to our military made this country very unsafe for you and you and you.
Well, there you go from the big boss man himself. It remains to be seen how this all plays out on 11/11, but I do know I will be in the front row munching my popcorn, waiting to see what happens, and I'll be reporting it right back to you. That's all I got for you today, kids. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. If you're new to my channel, please keep in mind that all those things I just asked you to do will be undone from time to time because that's social media. For those of you who are asking me, Patrick, what's going on? I can't find your videos, or I get unnotified, or I get unsubscribed. That's because you're not watching the last 2 minutes of my videos where I explain what's going on. We are at war, so you can expect them to unclick you, unnotify you, and unsubscribe you. Just do me a favor, Patriot, and find me again, click back on, and let's just keep playing the game. Thank you so much to all of you who've been doing that and sharing my videos. I greatly appreciate it. I appreciate your support. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's a lot of fun too. Now, all my links are down below. My Gab, which is down right now for at least temporarily. I'm still working on it. BitChute, Real.video, which is now Brighteon.com. You can see me over there. That's Brighteon.com. And you can always see me over here at Twitter at IPOT1776. That's at IPOT1776. If you'd like to support the channel, my Patreon link is down below. You can also email me down below, and I've got a P.O. box down there if you want to send some cookies or cake or anything sweet. Just saying. Nah, I'm kidding. All right, kids, that is all I got for you today. My name is Sir Patrick Mack, and until next time, stay funky.